Thank you. All right, welcome to the Tuesday, April 8th, Voorheesville Board of Education Facilities Committee meeting. Frank, what's up first?
All right, well, Joe was good enough to really actually make the agenda, so thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. But we'll give the construction update first. I will talk a little bit about the transportation facility. So if you look up here, we did go to the transportation facility the other day. I took pictures for myself. I didn't think I was going to share them with anybody, but so they're not awesome. But this is like one of the mechanical rooms as you walk in. But this was the surprise, right? I walked in and there were things up, which was awesome to see all of this. This here is the main bay. And so there's 3 bays here, and it's a lot bigger than you think, like up high. Those where that is going to be, that's all going to be blocked off. So you're not going to see any of those dust catchers or any of that stuff. So they will be blocked. There's giant fans that hang down. So there's a lot that comes out of it. This is like a hallway into that area from the mechanical area. Again, you'll see it's all fire rated. There's cinder blocks everywhere. Everything's kind of up to code of where it needs to be. Another picture of that. Sorry. And then this is just one of the offices because I was so surprised to see sheetrock up already.
Painted sheet.
Well, that is
Or is that the sheetrock?
that's some type of backing for the sheetrock. But this is the transportation director's office. But they are going to be painting next week. The tiles coming in. So they are moving along pretty quickly.
Great.
Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, for it up now, it's moving along, Joe. I mean,
Yes. They definitely certainly caught up and then some. And
Yeah, good.
what I think is it's some good, you got the other trades kind of pushing the GC, politely, but they know they can't finish until he finishes. So. And it seems like they're all working together pretty nicely.
Yeah, so far. And I think the UW Marks is doing a nice job kind of just keeping it all together. We have our bi-weekly meetings with the trades, and there's never yelling. Which is very lucky. I'm sure you've been on them where there's been yelling and anger, and everybody's usually really cordial and working through it. So that's been awesome. Yeah. Any other updates on that, like the trans facility that you can think
And you
of?
thought that packing could happen in June and then occupation in July?
Yeah, that's what we're hoping. So with the transportation facility, they're getting to start clearing out, getting things packed away. And you said it again today. I'm like, they need to move in June. They need to be over so we can get into that facility in July. So I restated that over and over again in our meeting notes too. So it's always there. So we're hoping that continues to happen. Am I missing anything on that?
Nothing.
Yeah.
No, it's, it's going to be a heavy lift. So, but we're certainly won't be the ones pushing it off just because it's not going to be pleasant.
That's going to happen. So the elementary school though, you want to give that update?
So we had our walking on April 1st. I'm not sure if that was the best date to pick that. But we did. And we actually, what we were told is 3 general contractors picked up plans,
Okay.
but only 1 general contractor showed up for the walkthrough. And that was the same one who bid it the first time. We had 2 site contractors show up, but again, we were told 3 different contractors had picked up plans. And then there were no other trades. There was no mechanical trades, no electricians, no mechanical. But again, those weren't really the sticking point the last time.
right?
So,
Yeah.
So
Does that mean that they won't bid?
No,
If
it doesn't
they-
mean that. It's because they could still be having conversations and asking for clarifying questions. Otherwise, they may already have a better understanding of what the project is, so they didn't need to go through the site walkthrough. So it doesn't mean they're not going to bid. I'm thinking we're only going to see 2 for the general contractor. I don't think we're going to see 3.
and I also let them know that just because they weren't, let everybody know who didn't show up, I can still get them a tour and get in the building whenever they like. So
Have any of the others been asking any questions?
somebody must have, because one addendum came through today and it was about, oh geez, I just read it. It was, how they're supposed to bid the, standalone building.
Okay.
They changed some of the pages, like respond to these pages, not these pages, and then that'll be incorporated. Because what I do is I take that and I tape it into what was the original spec, or I put it on the part of the drawing where that is, where they're addressing that. So.
Yeah, so a lot of times we don't know all the questions are being asked because it goes to the architect or it goes to the construction manager. So we don't know all the conversations that are
Oh,
being had for the bid stuff. So we only know when we see an email go through and an addendum question goes through or when we get updates. So, I know there's been conversations, there's been, the back and forth, but
Mhm.
we're still up in the air. It
The
really is an up in the air conversation.
the people doing the transportation garage haven't shown any interest.
No,
No.
when,
No, okay.
yeah, I don't know if they have the capacity
Oh,
to do
maybe
something
not.
at that
Okay.
level, the general contractor.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't think they have that capacity. This is the largest job they've ever done before.
Oh, okay. That tells you.
Yeah. So, and then elementary school in general, we're getting that done, so then we can start about packing up. And then I know there's been conversations about getting us back in the building by staff members, and unfortunately, I've been telling them, we're not there. Like, yes, we're hoping we can get plans and we have like ideas, but until we know exactly what we're doing now, opening back up again in September is like the furthest thing from our mind, because
Mhm.
there's so many still variables going on that we need to figure out. So, like as I said last night, hopefully we're gonna be positive and think positive and see what happens.
Yeah, the teachers that were at the board meeting last night, I just was kind of seeing how and they were open to.
Yeah.
Like, it is what it is, and we just want it
Yeah.
to work, and now that wasn't really a scientific sample, but, it was, I was happy to.
Yeah, we've
have
been very
that.
transparent
Yeah.
across the board on all this, and like, guys, this is what it is. Like, it literally is out of our control, and unfortunately, this is par for the course sometimes when you do these projects, and you just kind of roll with it. So we'll get there.
Is the architect now feeling like the tariffs might have an impact on price? I
They
mean,
haven't said anything.
They haven't.
I don't know if they really have said much, so on that, we will see.
Mm.
Timing isn't the best though, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So, the next thing is roof water testing taking place at the meeting.
That's gonna, that was awarded to, well, it wasn't a bid, but
Right.
the lowest quote was for Titan Roofing, which also, from the walkthroughs I had with, they also were, I'm glad it's them. Because they are a Carlisle certified installer, so anything they do won't impact any kind of warranty we currently have. And they even saw some stuff up there that they're gonna throw in and repair while they're up there doing the testing. So once the testing is complete and we have a little more information, then Mosaic will complete the scope of work to get that job out, so we can get that
And that's the $100,000.
$100,000 project.
What is the testing for, just so we're all.
Okay, so what they're trying to do is eliminate what's leaking. It's one of those things where we've had torrential downpours and it has not leaked a drop.
Mhm.
It only leaked during ice jams, ice buildup, and the melting ice, which usually it's one of two things. It's the weight of the ice that's literally pushing on the roof and causing the hydraulic pressure as it melts. But I think they're gonna find it's the flashing from the lower roof where it attaches and terminates on that upper wall. And they're very confident that they think they're gonna find the leak in about a day. So. But,
That's good.
Like,
Yes,
optimism.
great.
Yeah,
It's only been 4 years. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
actually-
sometimes. But sometimes
but it's,
somebody comes through and they really know what they're doing.
and then the whole, like, that you don't wanna jump on the bandwagon. Like, once one person points at the wall, then it's, oh, it's gotta be the wall. And then,
They don't think it's the wall.
no, they do not.
Okay,
Now with the amount of water that comes in at that rapid rate, and the fact that literally, if it was an issue with the upper roof, down to the lower roof, these rains, we would have been seeing some sort of infiltration in the building.
well, that's good if they don't think it's the wall, right?
Yeah.
Because then we don't have to do that.
Yeah.
sheeting, whatever
And they're
that
gonna do
was.
multiple levels. They're gonna do one test where they're covering up all that flashing and termination and put a sprinkler on, then they gotta take it down, then they gotta do it again. It's gonna be like a 4-stage multi-layered testing, so they can get as much information as possible. So,
Okay, before we move on to schedule and or anything else, let's just talk a little bit about the issue that we had today. So today we had a backup where the pipes got clogged. And do you want to explain that a little bit?
so it started out as just the kitchen had a plugged up drain. But then, so we were able to figure out, well, it's still flowing and point from point A to point B. So that blockage must be from point C to D, not to overcomplicate it or under simplify it. But then what happened was we called, we put the service call in. By the time we could get somebody in here to take care of it, it just kept backing up further and further. So the toilets and the toilets, not the sinks, they kept backing up further and further. So the high school bathrooms all had to be shut down, but the middle school bathrooms are on a totally different line. So they were still operational. And what's considered the sports wing, where the larger gym is, those bathrooms were also operational and accessible.
Okay.
So they were down 45 minutes.
Right,
Yeah,
yes.
and then they had it back up and running. The problem is that people flush things that they shouldn't flush,
Mhm.
you know, and that is becoming the issue. So, and you don't know what they're flushing. I mean, at one point, they believed they found a vape at one point
Mhm.
that was in a toilet. So it could be a plethora of things going down the toilet, and that's causing the blockages. And there's really no way to stop that. So,
Ask politely.
yeah.
Put up signs, but I think people already know they shouldn't be flushing.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the unfortunate thing. But to credit today,
It's not like
it's
that's gonna
happened
be
quickly.
news.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
So-
it got done quick.
And just as a follow-up to you, that I did reach out to Emma's Pumps to come out and take a look at the pump station. Because then as I was talking through with TJ, well, what's gonna happen when all this hits that pump
Yeah.
station? What if it can't handle it? And it did handle it. So I just,
Always those things to worry about.
Mhm.
right.
So Schedule N. Schedule N is a funding system that we can utilize where you can do safety upgrades and then get that money back. So we have about, what is it, $35,000 in Schedule N money that we can spend and get back this year?
That we can get reimbursed for, correct, up to 35,000. I actually just started digging into it. I was hoping it would cover like doors, indoor hardware, but it's pretty specific when it comes to doors. It's only door hardening. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a look back to anything we've upgraded since July 1. So that's any new camera, any new access control. We should be able to submit those for reimbursement. So
Is that through that safety BOCES?
No,
thing?
this is
state- oh,
something completely different. Yeah, this is
Okay.
through the state Schedule N.
Okay.
So it's just another way to get some money back and
Okay.
reimburse and build some revenue. So Joe's taking a lead on that, to be able to get into that. That's great. So,
Thank you.
all right, so spring sports.
let's see, so far,
Well, how about I give the update?
Yeah, you go.
Yeah, how about we
Right,
give
yeah,
that update?
start with that.
So let's talk about the baseball field. So baseball field, they are not going to be playing on that for a little while. So we were under the impression that they were going to, and we were pushing hard to get it, but then Joe had a backup plan for them to play in Dutchman Field again.
Yeah.
So that's where they're going to be doing the majority of the games for varsity baseball is going to be in Dutchman Field, which is good because there's a couple of things that end up coming out of it that we really need to address. One of the things that happened was the field poles for the giant 30-foot
Mhm.
nets that we're putting in over there. There was a warranty issue, well, not a warranty, a manufacturer issue with the fencing itself. And they manufactured the poles wrong. So 4 of the poles are the wrong diameter, the wrong thickness.
The sleeves are the wrong thickness, so the poles now won't fit
Correct.
at 4 locations.
Right. So they gave us a few solutions, and one of the solutions was less than-
Downgrade.
it was a downgrade, but it was easier for them. So my solution was we paid for something, we have it spec'd that we're getting, and we're not gonna do the downgrade, so they're gonna come back and they're going to fix it the right way, which is gonna make a little bit of a mess. And it's gonna take a little bit longer to do, but they're gonna put it back in, so it's exactly what we spec'd out for it. So that's gonna take a little bit more time. So since Joe's already got them playing at Dutchman Field, we might as well take advantage of that anyways.
Where is that Dutchman Field? Is that in that road?
So the,
I think it is, yeah.
the high school. Right, this-
No, I think it's not Road Park.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
no, that's for Dutchman Play.
So yeah, it's where we did last year. So they're continuing to do that. But the baseball field, they have the temp power up there. We're trying to get the scoreboard for the softball field up and running. But that's extra component that wasn't specifically into the bid. So what they're going to do is they're going to work on that, but we don't know when. Because we had to wait on them to be able, to get that into the time frame. But we still have the generator that can hook up to that, so that can work. And it's already spec'd out for the generator. Did I miss anything on baseball?
You did that.
Okay.
So
baseball and softball. Softball's up and running. They're good to go.
And so just the other update, so that the satellite fields, what I've got is baseball, and now I've got to rely on my guys because I don't know what lower this, lower that means.
Yeah.
So I'll just read it verbatim.
So they did label them 1, 2, 3, 4. We got to get them started using them. The 1, 2, 3, 4.
Understood.
Because I have no idea what the lower, upper.
So
Yeah.
Baseball and the second lowest lacrosse field are all ready. The new Scotland fields we painted this week, they already would have been done except for the weather. So that'll be the next. And then once we get into some solid warmer temperatures, we'll get the bathrooms online over there. So, and Joe has been scheduling some boys lacrosse over there. So
And the turf that we worked on last year is,
we're continuing that. That's kind of rolls into, we started like restoration from plowing, because a lot of the plowing we had a plow in the beginning, everything wasn't frozen, so that's why you got more peeling up of the lawn. So we started that. We're starting a restoration. I just reached out for a quote to put in the order for the grass seed and top dressing that Neil had recommended to maintain those fields and protect the assets of the district there. So I'll continue on with that work that Neil started. So
With this satellite fields benches, are we down a bench, 2 benches?
I have to find out.
Yeah, because I know that was a conversation that we talked about.
Yes, it was. And it's, yes. So,
Because New Scotland Soccer Club is looking at, they would purchase benches if we need to for that.
okay.
But if we're down a bench already, we're gonna have to order. You're gonna order our benches, and then I don't know if they will need it if we're ordering new benches for us, they could just use ours. They know we're down at least 1 or 2 benches. That's what I heard.
is that just because they fall apart or are they missing?
We don't know that answer.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, we're trying to
Yes.
figure out where, yeah, it could be either one of
One of
those.
those.
We really don't know. We are under the impression that we might be missing a bench. Yeah, which is like where they do that. Speaking of benches over there at the satellite field, we do have a Boy Scout who is going to get his Eagle Scout, and he wants to build a covered area for the benches for the soccer field. So for the students, like little awnings that he's working on, myself, Joe Pepians and Joe Mayo met with Andrew, and he's going to be presenting that to the board after he has a full design. Andrew Gilmet. Yep. So he wants to do that. So that way the people who use it for soccer and lacrosse, the kids, not
Yeah.
for the adults, they have like the
That
little
is
things
very
in the weather.
nice.
So it was very, very nice.
Yes.
He's working on getting a final design for us, but that's going to be his Eagle Scout project. So, and since he's a junior, he's got a little time to get there.
Yeah,
So next bullet,
Yeah, is anything else on?
the huddle. Oh, the fields,
Yeah,
I
any
think
questions on that?
unfortunately due to the weather, just not much to report on the fields.
But here's the good thing that I will say is I didn't get a single complaint. Softball field or lacrosse field or any of it. Usually there's always a complaint.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the fact that we haven't gotten complaints this year means that we are above and beyond the schedule that we typically are. So that's a positive thing. Huddle cam. So I'm gonna give credit to Joe here, and I know he's worked with the full team on this. If you know anything, we had a huddle camera for the football field, lacrosse field, soccer, that area over there. We purchased it, we put in a point-to-point system, couldn't get it to work at all. It was like, no one could hook it up, there was always issues with it. I asked Joe to be the point person for it when he came in. He ended up getting in, talking to Huddle. He got a new camera from Huddle, turned our old one in, and as of today, we have a working Huddle camera
Online.
So within a couple of weeks, it's back up and running, and we got a brand new camera out there, and it's working. So a lot of people work to get that all up and running. It took about a good year and a half to get it going. From Neil to having the point-to-point system, from Lonnie, like so.
I'm naive. What do you use it for?
So Huddle cameras are the ones that we stream games with, but they're also utilized for
For coaching
Yeah.
and for reviewing tapes and
Okay.
for putting in sport, into like colleges and
Okay.
stuff. So it's used for a lot of different things. So we have them we have a portable one that we utilize for soccer. We have one already in our gym for volleyball and for basketball. So now we have one outside for lacrosse and
Okay.
also football, for anything that's on.
from what I understand, like one of their selling points is that you can live stream where you don't have to wait and download and
Mhm.
stuff like that.
So we live stream all this. All right,
Mhm.
and snowfall, you wanna talk about potholes?
Yes, we'll start addressing those. I was hoping to get it over April break to, but the issue only is that we're a day short of April break and there's an awful lot on the plate. But again, I know some of them are really bad, but overall, there's not a lot to address. There just happens to be some particular ones that are bad. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna, get some blacktop. We have a truck that can actually handle it. And, this year, we're gonna have to kind of patch it together and just do what we've been doing. And then I have gotten some quotes on a more extensive restoration where you literally saw cut those areas out, scarify, and then it's like patches of new pavement. So I got prices on that, and that might be in a future project. It's, I hate to say it is what it is, but it's a northeast.
Right.
But I also know how I feel when I drive around on our roads. And I'm like, oh, can't they get it? So we'll definitely be on that, and we understand how it's something people will appreciate and also are concerned.
And when Joseph, we are short a day, Good Friday is
Oh,
a
I'm
day
sorry.
off for
Yes.
staff. Yeah, so they get that off. So 12-month employees get that day off.
So when they have 4 days to get a month's worth of work done. So let's see.
Auction results.
Yep, we did put our items up for auction, so we got rid of the bus lift that's over in the old trans. We got rid of 2 floor cleaners, a wet vac, a floor scrubber, another cleaning station, and another wet vac. The student desks, no one had any interest in them. And from what I understand, you had already reached out to charitable and nobody seems to want them.
Yeah.
So we will get rid of them.
Yeah. Can we scrap?
We can, it's one of those things where, diminishing returns, I don't, as much time as it might take to get the tops off them and make it just metal, but it doesn't mean it shouldn't be looked into.
How many of them are there?
I did not count them, but there's probably, I'm gonna guess 4 classrooms worth. I'd say.
Yeah. And so what we're trying to, and these are old,
Good detention project.
yeah. Can't do that anymore. Unfortunately.
I still.
So we're trying to really clean up the basement. The basement
Yeah.
has been a storage area for a good 15 to 20 years. And we've been working hard to get rid of a lot of things down there, but there's a ton, but we need to clean that basement up. So it's things that are in the elementary school can come up here because we don't have storage areas at the elementary. So it's either getting offsite storage, which is going to be difficult because there's nothing there. We have to put it. So it'll be here or in the basement. So that's why we're trying to really be aggressive on that. And speaking of things in the basement, electronics disposal.
Again, along the same exact lines, I've reached out to ELOT, I reached out to the NARIC, our IT team here to start doing another rollout. I spoke to Matt, Dupay.
Yeah, that's helpful in both.
Yeah, so he's gonna make sure he knows what they have to do on their end as far as if it's got a barcode on it, that means it must be registered somewhere. So we need to account for this coming off of our rolls. But for me, from the facility standpoint, to Frank's point, is we're going to need that real estate because when we are ready to get the elementary school online for next school year, a lot of those deliveries that would usually go to the elementary school are going to have to come here. So we're going to have a place to offload them and store them safely. And
so we're trying to get that all ready, and there's just a lot down there. Some of these it's been years and years. There's stuff down there from like 15 years ago, electronic equipment still.
So I know you can't be punitive, but there's kids who need community service hours.
Yeah.
Can that be something?
They
that
can help
scan
us.
Barcodes and.
They can, but we have to make sure there's supervision on there because
Right, dangerous.
it's
Yeah.
it's a little bit dangerous.
But there might be some interest in that.
So the issue is the accounting for the outflow of it?
Yeah.
well, that's the part that I need to make sure, like, the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed and maybe even the lowercase J's get that. So,
Yeah.
but yes, because, I don't want to, number one, I'm never fond of naming what's garbage for other people. So,
And if it was part of an IT purchase, then there's different ways of disposing it because it's actually not our property, it's BOCES property.
Oh,
So there's different ways. There's a lot of like jurisdictional aspects of it too that we got to make sure that we just address those.
there's a lot of it literally disposal, or is it?
It's disposal.
Oh, it is.
Yes.
So it's not even like, you know, like,
No, it's very old. There's some old stuff that's just been sitting there for a long time and out of sight, out of mind kind of attitude. You know, like it's in the basement, we don't know about it, and it takes effort and time to take care of it. So now we're putting in a lot more effort and time to get rid of those things that have been down there for a very long time. So, right, I mean, some of that stuff is.
I think it might even be a reel-to-reel projector down there.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, really, there is some very old stuff. So track shed and mat storage. So one of the things that we've been looking into is what we do with our mats, right? How can we safeguard them? How can we make sure that mice aren't getting into them? How do we make sure that the district investment of those mat storages, because those are, they're expensive, it's what we use for track, and sometimes they sit into the elements. So we don't want that. We want to have a good plan for the mat storage. So Joe's been looking into that with Joe.
Yeah, and I went down to that shed because I wanted to get my eyes on it myself, that storage area down there, and
There's a shed behind the track.
so
So, yeah, because it took me a while to realize that there is one back there. And it's tan and you barely even
Shines
recognize
right
it.
in.
I know, it really does, like, you don't even notice that it's there, but there is a shed back there.
because I went to Google Earth because I want to do a screenshot of it and send it to Frank, and you can't even see it on Google Earth.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I'm just looking at, it's got good bones. So I'm gonna contact a roofer. It needs a new roof. It definitely needs a new floor. It needs a new overhead door and it needs a new man door. But other than that, I mean, it's a great asset to have, especially, when storage isn't, funded and such. And that way too, we get those numbers and then you can say, well, you could buy a whole new one. I mean, I don't think that would be the case, but at least then we'll know.
Right, and we could look at encumbering the funds now, be able to get the work done over the summer.
Mhm.
Right? So that way we can utilize 24-25 budget money to be able to look at using that to get it fixed, because it's gonna be, in the end, it's a long-term investment. Because you need storage area, storage, as you said, is not funded or aided.
No. It's not.
And that is a building that's already on property. So
Correct.
if it's already on property, we don't have to worry about going through anything else that put another one up, because you would have to.
And once those improvements are made, it'd be critter proof.
Well, I can't guarantee it'll be critter proof, but it's gonna be much more airtight than it is now. And from doing some of this research, mothballs do work. I mean, I was doing all sorts, different athletic programs and colleges, and a lot of the solutions are mothballs. They just, you also just need to check on it and not just put it in there, forget it, and then have bad news the next time you need it.
Even if we put it in the basement, unfortunately, it's still not critter proof in the basement. We found, it still happens. But I think that and the mothballs, which is doable for New York, like in schools, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of things we can't do, but we can do both. So the last thing that's not on here that I just wanted to bring up is, Annie met with the bus company, Bus Right, which is gonna be the transition that we're moving over to.
It's the new software.
It's a new software. As part of the software though, and I know it's not facilities wise, but I think it does kind of fit into it, is the fact that the routing system is amazing. It does amazing stuff. It's gonna make life a lot easier, but it is GPS.
Mhm.
So we know where all the buses are. They'll have screens. So we are working on transitioning that for the summer, and then we'll have it ready to go.
Is this the one that it integrates, like parents can see
Parents
when
have-
when the
yeah.
buses come into?
They'll
so if
know
the bus is
when-
late,
yes,
or if it's
Parents will know when it's
super nice for
coming.
winter time.
Yeah,
so you don't have
sure.
to look
Yeah.
outside.
If a bus is running late, we don't have to do a messenger to everybody in the community. It
Oh,
can go right
that's
to that
nice,
company.
Mhm.
And for safety purposes, to think about it, like say we have to divert a bus, or say we have a situation after school and we have an athletic team that has to go somewhere else, we can just send that message saying, bus go here, the bus goes, and everybody knows where to pick up their child. So there's a lot of real positive things that come out of that. And part of the New York safety protocols is going to have to be an after-school program. They really looked at putting that in. They met with local school districts. Bethlehem, because they had a situation for input, and New York State is going to be looking for an after-school safety program, even a little bit more detailed than it already is. And some of that notification is going to fall right into it. So I just wanted to kind of share that, even though the buses aren't considered facility, like transportation,
Yeah.
like facility-wise, that work that we're doing is going to, I think, upgrade everything across the board and be more transparent for parents when they look at where their kids are.
Are we radically redoing routes as a part of that, or?
So they're gonna look at it. We have a routing study going on right now. We're actually meeting tomorrow on that routing study to see what we can do, because again, if you group routes together, you can save money, you can save time. So we're really trying to figure that out because of, bus driver shortages and everything else. We want to have the ability to quickly make adjustments. Right now, no, I think we're trying to stay where we are and happy with the routes that we have. But if we can make some little changes, because we have some routes that are large, right? We have the one in my neighborhood, I know the one in the Scotch Pine neighborhood, those are big runs. So if we can do something with those, that'd be great. This system should really help a lot more. Anything for the good of the order?
So really
Thank
good
you.
stuff.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a lot to
Thank you.
report on at the
I
next
know.
board meeting.
It's gonna be a big one.
And it's a nice condensed meeting too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're all good then.
Thank you.